안녕하세요. 조소입니다. 감사합니다. Newjeans. I dig what the fourth gen groups are doing. It's always very interesting to see, like the directions that certain groups and their companies kind of want to take things. And Newjeans, it's one of these things that once I heard it, I was like, okay, I get behind this. I can understand why it's popular, and so I definitely wanted to go back and check out OMG. Is this still on the charts? Like I think it is, isn't it? I have to double check, but I think if you go to like Soompi or one of those types of sites, and that has their own sort of rankings for some of the popular songs. I think it's still up there. Like I think it is, but since I haven't heard it yet here, I figure it's high time we try and that we check it out. In other words, so Newjeans OMG. From the time on this, it's 6 minutes and 33 seconds. So I'm assuming that there's some cinematics here, some theatrical stuff going on as far as the some exposition, if you will, with the video part. So
그럼 다음 분 얘기 들어볼까요?
처음에는 혼란스럽기만 했습니다. 내가 누군지, 여기가 어딘지 알 수 없었어요. 남들이 이야기하는 나와 진짜 내가 헷갈리기 시작했어요. 하지만 겨우 그 답을 찾았어요. 사실 저는 아이폰이었습니다. 저는 당신을 위해 존재합니다. 당신이 부르면 언제 어디라도 달려갈 거예요. 당신이 보고 싶어하는 것을 보여주고 당신을 위해 말하고 당신을 위해 노래할 거예요. 당신이 제게 원하는 것은 무엇일까요? 제 머릿속은 항상 이 질문으로 가득합니다. 그동안 제가 고민했던 것이 부끄러워졌습니다. 제가 누구인지는 이제 중요하지 않아요. 저는 당신을 위해 존재합니다.
그러니까 지금 네가 실이라는 얘기야?
네, 그렇습니다.
이 노래는 It's about you baby Only you You 내가 힘들 때 울 것 같을 때 기운도 이제 나지 않을 때 It's you 날 걱정하니 It's you 날 웃게 하니 말은 해도 돼 But what do you say 멀리든 언제든지 달려와 바쁜 척도 없이 난 나타나 이게 말이 되니 난 물어봐 너는 말야 He's the one that's living in my system baby Oh my god yes or not I was really hoping that he will come through Oh my god 단 너뿐이야 Asking all the time about what I should do Now I can never let him go 너만 생각나 24 난 행운아야 정말로 I know 널 알기 전까지는 나는 네 없어서 전부 다 내 맘이 끝이 없는 걸 I know I'm going crazy right 어디서든 몇 번이든 There ain't nothing else that I would hold on to I hear his words through all the nights 잠시라도 나서 놓지만 no 걱정 없잖아 Cause I got someone 혼자라도 괜찮아 Cause I love someone Even asking me who is he 멀리든 언제든지 달려와 바쁜 척도 없이 넌 나타나 이게 말이 되니 난 물어봐 너는 말이야 He's the one that's living in my system baby Oh my god yes can't sleep at night.
아니 우리는 뉴진스라니까?
꿈에서 깨워주지 마. You got me looking for attention. 나 이제 그만.
오늘은 이만하고 각자 병실로 돌아갈게요. 가자.
Okay. This group is intensely psychedelic. This is something that I understand for certain now. This entire production, the concept narrative that is at work here, this is and also ditto, the visual themes, the narrative itself, this group is very, very much a psychedelic group. I don't know if people quite understand. I'm not talking the old school psychedelic type of stuff. I'm not talking hippie dippy Doors. I'm not talking 70s rock, like, you know, or I mean, there are some underlying elements of that stuff, but there's a new, much more contemporary type of psychedelic culture, subculture, that has emerged definitely throughout like the 2010s, and this is that, like, that's what they're doing. It's cool, I dig it, but I'm just like, I'm absolutely certain of that now. The song itself, like, first of all, it's very, very catchy, right? It's what they do with what these groups do, right? Like Newjeans, right? They're taking this minimalist approach with things. It sounds very indie. You hear a lot of like D&B sounds, house, you know what I mean? Like a lot of this. It's not so much the way of like the third gen groups, a lot of the big, you know, company groups. It's much more subtle than that. The rhythms are very syncopated throughout the mix. The percussion stuff is really, really syncopated. I think it's not until the chorus section comes around, but the type of syncopation that is being used really gives it'll give it like a swing type of feel, which is really fun. And you have these synth chords that are going on that I believe it's synth, like an organ sound. and at least one other synth sort of instrument sound, and they're very staccato. Like this isn't man. It's like they're doing, almost like a deconstructive thing. It makes sense. It follows a certain logic as far as how all this music really should sort of develop or evolve, kind of. But there's it's still a very full mix. A lot of that is down to the rhythms of the vocal parts as well, because those are the lines that move the most independently. The stuff that you hear in the mix, the syncopated staccato parts that are going on, they do have a lot of consistency to them. It's a very definite pattern from your verse section into your chorus section. It's the vocal delivery that actually has the most color in it and the most independent variety, if you will. There's some it still plays to a more minimalist type of thing. This is not about big, powerful vocals. It's a much more subtle delivery than that. It's a very chill sound. It's extremely chill. But there's some fun things that are going on in the little things that they do. They're not even, I guess you could consider it dynamic. It's extremely playful. It's not dramatic. It's not like they're leaning into some sort of pathos or something. It's much more playful than that, and it has it's very, very charm. It has its own charm. It has its own appeal. It does its own thing. But all of this in the beginning, this whole scene right here, all of this stuff is it's intensely psychedelic. And this whole I'm an iPhone and all these different scenes, all of this stuff is psychedelic stuff. This is all psychedelic. This is a trip right here. The visuals, it's the ear, the mouth, the eyes are in there also. I get the narrative is it's a song about there's this guy and trying to get his attention, and it's kind of driving him crazy. They're going crazy for this guy, you know what I mean? But the subtext of what the sort of underlying context that you have, these visuals are all they're all the theme is sense perception, right? That's why it's an ear, and then the mouth, and then the eye, and this is about sense. And then also when she's running on the record player, because that's a whole lot of context all wrapped up into a certain type of demonstration, right? But in other words, it's the iPhone with the music. She's listening to it while she's running. This is what you do at the gym or at the track, or you go for a run or something. Explaining it that way, demonstrating it that way. This is a very psychedelic approach to this type of thing. All this visual right here, this group is intensely psychedelic, man. And then they're like, "Oh, so you're saying that you're Siri?" It's good. It's good. It's not the psychedelic stuff of the past, but there is a bit of a nod towards that type of stuff. There is a little bit is an acknowledgement of that, but it's the new school. It's very contemporary for sure, but it's an extremely catchy song.
이 노래는 it's about you baby only you
See staccato, right? Bum, 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 bum. It's just going through the chord progression. This is just pulsing out the chords. Very staccato, right? It's a little bump, and then like in other words, no sustain on it at all. And the vocal delivery, right? There's a little bit of vocal fry. There's a little bit of breathiness. All of that is to invoke that very tactile sense. Like it's making you feel, not just hear the vocal that's being sung. It's making you feel it here. It's making you feel it in your chest. Even the way that it's produced, like the way that this is EQ'd, the type of reverb that's on it, and everything. It's really well done, and it's catchy for these reasons. So now we got two, because the staccato rhythm is still there, and now we have this other synth key that is the keys that are coming in, and they are kind of giving a little bit more sustain, but it's developing on that same progression. Also, it's percussion, right? But it's very syncopated and also very busy, right? And it's already giving it that swing feel. Like it's not giving you an accent on like 2 and 4. You know what I mean? It's not doing like what typical pop composition does. So once the 808 and the kick started to come in, it's still very playful, very syncopated. It's not holding on to a very 2 and 4, 2 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not doing that. It's not doing what a lot of your typical pop type of formula would do, right? You're getting instead a lot of upbeats, little fast groupings that come at the end of a measure, like as you're between like the and of 3 and the 1 of the next measure. So typically where you would have 1 and then accent on 2 and then 3 and an accent on 4, what you're getting now is syncopated rhythms right up until about the 4th beat, and then it kind of puts a little bit of an accent on it, but really it's rhythmically, it's through a grouping of beats to let you know where 1 is, right? And it gives it a very swing type of feel. And then once the chorus section comes in, and what they're doing with the vocal, again, it's very interesting because they sound great. The vocal line is very good, man. It's really good. It's a wonderful tone. It's a very good, delivery of it. And then the backing vocals, they build on texture. Like it's all so subtle. They're not like belting anything out really. Instead, it expands on the texture. It's not even really the harmonization. It's like, so, it's there. Of course, it's going to be there because the pitches have to fall somewhere within the chord in the progression at that point in time. But it's not. The emphasis is not on the harmonization. The emphasis is on texture. It's a really interesting thing. because the vocal, it's a little bit of ascending and descending, and it's eighth notes. It's pretty much straight 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and the patterns that are in the percussion though, right? The kick is doing a very syncopated and little busy groupings towards the end of the count, but then you have that other little pitched percussion, think, 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 like, that's going on a little bit higher in the mix. I hear it mostly panned to the right, and then meanwhile you still have some of the synth chord work that's going on too. It's a really, really interesting composition, man. Like this the mind that comes up with this, like as far as the composition is going, right? This is they're very much into a lot of those sort of subgenres of music, because from psychedelic to drum and bass to house, to these different types of sounds, because it's such a wonderfully distilled example of that type of style. And so some of these like fairy tale themes, obviously the glass slipper, right? Cinderella, the poison apple, like, it's very fun. It's really, really fun. Trust me, it's intensely psychedelic. Like it really is. And not everybody, will pick up on that, because it's that kind of thing. It's that kind of subcultural context, but it's intensely psychedelic stuff. But it's fun. The syncopation on that, dun, like it doesn't come on the beat, right? It's like the syncopation in all of these different parts, man. It's a wonderful puzzle. A composition is a puzzle, because you in the beginning you say, okay, I'm going to be in 4 beats to a measure, a quarter note gets the beat. You can come up with whatever kind of chord progression you want, but everything has to add up in the end. So it's the work that you're doing. You're creating this puzzle out of different pieces that all have to add up in the end. You can use quarter notes, you can use eighth notes, you can use whole notes, but in the end, it's going to have to add up. And the way that this is written really sets it apart. I mean, like, really sets it apart. That's why the group is so popular. It has a lot to do with the composition behind these songs. That part right there, the way she's doing that, baby, right? Like it's a very quick slide up. It's not even really singing. It's like it's a vocal gimmick or trick or something, baby. Like it's sliding up and then kind of like flattening out the palate a little bit, and there's like a it's almost too like you're trying to make your voice crack or something. It isn't even like like for real, like singing, like that's not what's being done, like mechanically. It's a gimmick, it's a trick, it's like but it's really fun. It's really fun the way that it's done and the way that it's used and incorporated in the song. The Newjeans have a really unique sound, one because the composition, but two, like the members of the group, it's another one of these examples, right? Like you, it has to be them, like they are the exact right members for this group, and to pull off this style and this, to create this kind of sound. It's really fun, man. It's really fun. Oh, the left side, right, is going crazy with these synth, their loops, their vocal loops that have been like shifted way up. The pitch has been put like up and down and all over the place, and they're coming in on syncopated rhythms. Everything is it's like a bundle of beats over here and a bundle of beats over there, but where they fit, it always works out. It always adds up in the end. It's a really unique sound.
Can't sleep at night.
Man, it's really fun, and it's really, really good. Like it's intensely hooky, it's intensely catchy. And the trick is, it's so syncopated. It's and creating these swing feels, just constantly shifting rhythmic patterns in the vocal, these little affectations and gimmicks, like, you know what I mean, on some of the vocal parts. All of these things. Like, in other words, it's not easy to make it catchy. It's not easy to make it hooky. But the way that this is written, and then the way that it's also performed, they're able to make hooks out of things that traditionally, usually, like typically aren't really hooks. It makes sense. It tracks. If you think about just the evolution of the sounds over time, from let's say what K-pop kind of started with, and it go through your generations and see, you listen to second gen, you listen to third gen, and then you start getting into fourth gen. Like, it totally makes sense, and it's actually really cool to see it done this way. But a lot of this comes down to the composition of the song, the way the mix is handled, production wise. It does require a real strong affinity for those subgenres of different styles. This. Because again, we're tracking this stuff over an evolution over time, right? So it's not until you get very much into the 2000s and the 2010s that you start to hear some of these subgenres really become popular and develop in their own right. and this is very much informed by that. I can tell as far as the composition, and then the way that the production is handled also. The specific type of reverb that's applied to vocals, the arrangement of the panning, like having the percussive parts, and then other parts, even using those little vocal loops that have been produced and with the pitch shifting and with different types of compression applied to them, and all of this stuff makes it's a very psychedelic group. It really is. It just because it's not like kaleidoscopes and like different colors and like cell shaded graphics. It doesn't. That's not what it's about. It's about creating these textures and kind of like communicating in terms of sense perception. It's about giving you different feels, not just because you have to take this in primarily through the ears, right? It's their sense of hearing, but the texture that they create with the way the vocals are handled, and the way that the percussion and the rhythm parts are in the mix, it's very much to appeal to other senses, to get you to feel it in parts that are not just in your ears, to get you thinking about other parts, right? To put your mind in different places, and that's really what makes it sort of a psychedelic thing. But they're a very fun group, man. They're a very, very fun group. It's a type of pattern work that is like very, very unique, very specific to these sort of subgenre styles, and it does take the right mind behind the compositional work, and then it takes the right type of performer as well. Like these members are able to like, because this you got to imagine like they're gonna get handed this song. They're like, okay, look, this is what it is, and they're like, okay, I see what you're doing here. Okay, so like they have to be able to complete the idea, to complete the expression of it and everything. And so it's like they're actually a very unique group, Newjeans. I totally understand the popularity, the appeal, the catchiness, their prevalence on the sort of contemporary charts and stuff, why they stay popular. They're very talented, and just to do like their style, it just really comes down to that. Just to do the style that they do, it's such a different space, right? Like from what you are, the sort of formula that you normally get or that you're normally accustomed to, and you'll probably like in the future, right, as we like maybe the next couple generations or whatever, you'll probably encounter a prevalence of this type of sound. Of course, there's so many different artists and so many different composers and songwriters. You're still going to have a variety of it, but Newjeans will probably be regarded as one of the, if not the first group to really use this type of sound and create this kind of music. And so this is it'll play out this way, like later on down the line for sure. But this is good, man. This is good. This is I'm really enjoying the stuff that I hear from Newjeans. I like expanding my own library of sounds and groups and different things to listen to, right? And this is definitely a plus, a significant add to everything. It's really good stuff, man. Newjeans OMG. It I don't think anybody else really does what Newjeans does, and that's why they stand out and stay so popular. But it was fun. It's really fun.